I am going to do a cold oil change today. Not on top. Take on this yet. I've been doing pretty good with just having the stock on there. It does freeze up a little bit, and I did notice some moisture in the airbox. So instead of running the engine and getting it warm, I'm going to do it cold, fill it with some Rotella. I like to fill it with Rotella T6 if I'm going to really try and flush out the engine. Run it till it's warm, swap that oil out with the Bel-Ray that I use. This isn't the way you should be doing it, but I'm afraid there's moisture in there, and I'd rather keep it in the engine than on the clutch plate. Before I go ahead and drain the oil, I want to see what's on my plug. Bigger metal shavings that I like seeing. I think it's from slamming gears. It's just sometimes you don't have a choice out there, or sometimes the snow grabs that shifter and it bangs around. And if I had to guess, that's bearing material. So this engine's probably going to need a pretty good overhaul before the season starts, the summer season. I'm going to pull the fill cap off on this side so we get good flow out of that tube. So I'm looking at this now. I'll come around that side. I was worried about moisture because I think I saw a little bit of level rise in there, but water is lighter than oil, or heavier than oil, I'm sorry. So it would have been sitting on the bottom. Bring you guys down here. So looks pretty good. Looks like I should get a white piece of paper. There was no moisture in there. It is not exactly going to be the greatest test. Because the oil is cold, but at least it's pulling everything out of the bottom instead of all over the place. So hard to see, but I'm not seeing anything crazy in there. I am seeing some brass, which that's the clutch plates, but it's a normal amount. So this is going to take a little while. I'm going to go grab some Rotella so I can flush this thing out, and we'll do it the normal way. Yeah. A little vacuum leak, leave it loose so it doesn't pop the cap off the other side. So we're sitting at 42 degrees right now. I got the C3 thermostat, so very accurate. I think I'm just going to warm it up to about 160. And yeah. Take a magnet. Magnet is right where it was supposed to be, so of course I couldn't find it. Anyways, magnet's clean. I'll take it, put it here, see if we're getting anything. And I'm seeing a couple flakes. Got two little flakes. Take a look, see what I think they are. I'm gonna go with gearbox. It looks like hardening, so I think that's gonna be a little flake, if you could see it, right on the edge there. Looks like a hardened piece of steel, so I'm going to go with shaft material, which is unfortunate, but it's expected because we're a little tip over. We can get the rest out. If anybody's currently wondering if I'm going to pull the bottom drain plug, the answer is no. I didn't pull that bottom drain plug for, I don't know, entire season. And once I did pull it out, it was clean as it was, so I couldn't find a reason to pull it. So the screen here basically catches everything before your suction pump, which is right there. That's your oil pump. So I don't know what that other screen does. I gotta take a look at the diagram and see what all it's for. But I've also heard a lot of other people say just the same, that they do not pull that oil screen. Oh yeah. And there's brand new clutches in there, so it's not uncommon. Also, no, these clutches didn't see any moisture, so that is just abuse. So the only thing I worry about with this is creating extra work for the suction pump. So it is difficult to get the material, the clutch material off there, but you got to do the best you can get that off. I don't really suggest using brake clean I would just kind of rather do my oil changes regularly and clean it the best I can each time. By regularly, I mean I will do oil changes every 10 hours if I'm really abusing it. If I hit 15 hours, I'm cringing when I pull that plug, just because I don't know what I'm gonna find. Luckily, I almost never do that, so everything I found has been not serious. Yep, and you are supposed to put that in there first for some reason, according to the manual. And go ahead and throw your plug in. And the next step, after we get this sunk down, is the most important. It is what gives you all your confidence when you get out on the trail. Especially if you do it in a sequence and you do it enough. I'm doing oil change weekly right now, so getting pretty used to it, or it's just becoming second nature. But yeah, so the next step, actually we're gonna pull the oil filter first. And see what that looks like. I usually, because I do my oil changes so often, I will skip changing the oil filter, or I'll leave it till every other oil change. I don't find any need to do it any more often than that. So no milky substance in there. I really didn't have any moisture in there. I was just concerned I did. So yeah, I changed the oil filter every other oil change because I'm doing oil changes. I mean, this oil changes. It's maybe seen 8 hours of actual run time. 1 weekend worth of riding, 2 days. Change the oil filter every other time. I check the seal ring every single time. Make sure there's no gashes in there. Make sure it's still pliable. It's soft. It's rubbery. It's not hard. I do have O-rings here, but yeah, I don't change it unless I need to. I'll take this pick, and you can use O-ring pliers if you want to. I like to do this. You're gonna throw it out anyways. This is extra, but it makes me feel better. I'm not saying that you have to do this. I just like doing it. Rotella, this T4 is so cheap. I mean, it's not crazy cheap, but it's probably for a gallon, 15, 20 bucks. Make sure there's still a little bit of oil in there. Pop that back on. And this is my spec sheet. So this is my quick reference guide. So I've got everything in here from sag to rear brake lever, fluids, oil change. These are all the specs for each component we're going to touch on an oil change. Spark plug, wheels, and then once we get down to the next page, it starts going into more, not really a quick reference guide unless you're opening up the engine. So I got all my oil change specs right there. So put that up on the screen. Show you guys what that looks like up close. And one important note here. So a lot of times I'm lazy, and we're just in my unit. We're not back at my place in Florida where I have all my tools. I was a technician for 10 years. So all I have is Harbor Freight torque wrenches, good enough. I have no problem using these. Sometimes on the lower end of the scale, if I feel like I'm not tightening it down or it doesn't feel right, then I do give it a little extra. But for the most part, this is good. But anyways, so the important note, I put everything in foot pounds and Newton meters, and I also in parentheses put inch pounds. That helps me because a lot of times I'm lazy, and this doesn't have Newton meters. I don't know, I've never even seen a torque wrench with cm, centimeter, kilograms. Very strange. But anyway, so I just like to use whatever I've got in my hand. So sometimes I've got this in my hand if I'm just doing an oil change, or if I've done other work with the 3/8, then I've got that in my hand, and I just want to take a look real quick and see what the number is. So first things first, we're going to work our way methodically clockwise from the bottom, and I am going to do the drain plug, then the drain screen with the screen, and then I'm going to do the oil filter. Again, if you missed it, I am not touching the bottom drain plug. First drain plug spec is drain plug with magnet, 178 inch pounds. Sure, we could all tighten that and say, yeah, it's tight. But my thing behind it is, if I put my hands on this torque wrench and then I put it on that, there is no doubting ever that I torqued it down. So I'm not riding home at night or out on the trail and saying, wait, did I really torque that? Yeah, I torqued it because Well, I know I torqued it because I put my hand on the torque wrench. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now we got the oil filter cover. We're looking at 89 inch-pounds. And I will go back and forth on this because it will kind of wedge itself out sometimes, somehow. And that's good. So, clockwise, torqued, good to go. The only thing we got left to do is clean this up and fill her up. I'll keep it there. FC450 any longer, so we put this here. Clean up as you go, makes life so much better. Okay, 2 of these, and a little more.